finding it, and another volley! A brilliant one by Hughes! Brilliant! What a goal!
On the 15th of May 1991 at the Feyenoord Stadium, Rotterdam.
The match that I would be looking for revenge, and I think the press got onto that angle that I would be looking for revenge against Barcelona. That wasn't really a case. The only thing I wanted to do was to show Barcelona I was a better player than I was able to show them in my time there. And I think after the game was over, I think that's what I proved.
But certainly Mark Hughes has little to prove to those who have watched him and played against him in the English First Division.
Mark Hughes gives you value for money. He is available for selection every Saturday, and his courage and his willingness to play with injuries and pain makes him one of the most outstanding players I've had.
Oh, look at this. Bad kick out. Mark Hughes says thank you very much to Manchester United.
I'm sure most centre-halves will testify that Mark's one of the most physical and hard centre-forwards to play against. Everybody knows about him, he'll take the knocks, but also dish him out. He's an aggressive type of character on the pitch, whereas off the pitch he's quite quiet, you know, he never really says very much, but when he gets out on the park, he's a man possessed. He's determined to win the ball, he's determined to score goals, and I think everybody will say they don't look forward to playing against him.
Mark is probably now, I think last season, he's developed his all-round game. He's probably the most developed all-round centre-forward in the First Division at present. So he holds the ball up well, he scores goals, he brings other people into play, and he works hard. And there's not many of them around.
Well, you got to put him up with great Johnny Taylor, Dennis Law, you know, Bobby Charlton up there, all the great strikers, you know, Stuart Pearson's and Mark's right up there with all of them. I mean, he's a credit to the club, and he's a great ambassador for the club.
Well, I mean, you know, you would look at it as if to say, well, I judge strikers by looking at it and saying, well, would I like to play against him week in, week out? Certainly with Mark, I wouldn't like to do that. I mean, even if he's having an off day, he's always going to give 100%. You know you're going to get a few big bruises on you. And his terms of rate, he must be up amongst the top half dozen in Europe.
Not if the Forest don't even touch the ball until it's in the back of the net. Once again, a great run by Gordon Strachan at the heart of it. Outside him is Mark Hughes. Great finishing.
He's very strong. He holds bigger lads than himself off, and he's got great control on the ball, and he always comes out with some special goals.
The ball in the penalty area. There's Robson's fine header and a great turn by Mark Hughes. 1-1, back to Old Trafford.
But things haven't always been easy for Mark. From a relatively late entry into the United first team, his drinking leading to loss of form and fitness, to his unsuccessful time at Barcelona after a much publicised £2 million transfer. But let's go back to the beginning of the Mark Hughes story, precisely to the 1st of November 1963.
He was born in Wrexham, in Miller Hospital, and we were living at a place called Fly at the time. And we stayed there till Mark was about 4, and then we came to Robin. My father used to play football locally, and Mark's father locally used to play football in a very amateur way, but he used to play and we always used to go and watch him. Well, Mark first got interested in football when he was about 7, I think. He was always kicking a ball, and I think at 7 he joined the school team, and that's when he really started to take off, really. He was always kicking a ball, well, it didn't have to be a ball, he would kick anything.
Well, I think I first got interested in football locally. I think like most young lads the age of about 5 or 6, I think you play on your school field, on your schoolyard, and you just get a feeling for the ball. I think from the ages of 6 to about 16, I was never without a ball in my hands, I think. So it was just from that early stages, I just carried on and started playing representative football.
I met Mark when I would have been about 4 or 5 in infant school. Obviously Mark's 12 months older than me, but we've always been like close in that respect that we've always played together. Started from when we were little, fighting together, I suppose, and then as we got older, we got interested in football and then played football. He was the goalkeeper in school because he was the only one who would dive on the concrete. Yeah. He used to say to the lads, "Show him how you dive on the concrete, Mark," and then he would dive on the concrete.
From Ruaben Council School, Mark moved on to the village secondary school, where he was chosen to play for Wrexham District schoolboys.
From the early days, I didn't really think that I would ever be a professional footballer, but when I got to about the ages of 13, 14, and I was playing for Wrexham District schoolboys then, and there was a few club scouts watching me then, and they showed a little bit of interest. So from that stage, I realised possibly I might have a chance. But when you're that young, you don't really think that it'll ever happen to you. 1 or 2 of the lads got picked up, like myself and Phil Williams, and I think towards when we left school, I think there was about 4 or 5 players who went to clubs. Obviously, they were a little bit older than me, so Phil went to Arsenal the year before me, and then I went the year after. Phil, he's a different character to me completely. He was a tricky left winger, and he's like a bottle of pop, and on and off the pitch. But I think he had problems settling in London, because even more so than me settling in Manchester.
The press have never actually been able to appreciate that the lad is a manager's dream. If you've got one player that you want to put on your side that's going to do 90 minutes worth of work, that's what Sparky is. He's not always spectacular, although he does score the spectacular goals. Most of his work is just basically wearing defenders down. He's a physical. He's not the biggest lad. If you were next to him having a pint, he's about 5'11", 5'10". He wouldn't frighten you in a pub, but if you put a red shirt on him, he'd certainly frighten you.
I was spotted by Manchester United by a man called Hugh Roberts, and he came to watch Wrexham District schoolboys, and he sent Christmas cards to me and everything, and just made the initial approach, really, because he was the first, and I always had a feeling towards him at Manchester United.
First saw Mark when he was 12. He was playing in a county game for Wrexham under-13s, and he was playing against Flintshire under-13s at Flint. And as I recall, it was a really frosty morning and bitterly cold. And you stood on the line and you're watching all these 13-year-olds. And then suddenly I noticed the striker for Wrexham. And he was shielding the ball, he was laying off the ball, doing all the things a professional would do. Now, watching Mark then, just the same as watching Mark now.
After signing for United, there were yet more football honours in store for Mark.
From there I was able to progress. I played for North Wales schools, and then I went for a couple of trials for the Welsh schoolboys. My first year, because I was a year younger, I didn't get in, but my second year, when I was in the fourth year, I was able to get in, and I made the Welsh team, and I was quite lucky really, because that year there was a lot of schoolboy games, and I was fortunate enough to play against England schoolboys at Wembley, which for a 14, 15-year-old was a great thrill. I scored in that game actually, yeah, but unfortunately there was a referee from Bristol, I'll never forget him, and he decided in his wisdom that he was going to disallow a 15-year-old boy's only ever goal that he was going to score at that stage at Wembley. He was throwing from the left, and somebody flicked it onto the edge of the box, somebody laid it back, and it bounced once actually, about knee height, and I volleyed it straight into the top of the net, and I didn't realise for about 10 minutes after that I was disallowed, because they couldn't catch me. See, I was running out of the stadium. So. Well, the year I played in the Welsh schoolboys, we had quite a good team. We got to the finals of the European Schoolboy Championships, and we played against Northern Ireland in the final. Unfortunately, there was a lad called Norman Whiteside playing at that stage, and he just bashed us about a bit, and we couldn't cope with him. But yeah, it was a good side. There was myself, there was Clayton Blackmore and Mark Bowen, and a few other players that have played in lower leagues, so it was quite good to see.
The first time I met Mark was a Welsh schoolboy trial, and he brought, I think it was a Man U tracksuit down to me.
That wasn't a very good one either, was it?
No, it was one of the old stock which they sent down to us. I thought it was quite good at the time, but I think that's the first time I met him. And we played that year together in the schoolboys. I think it was 11 internationals. We had a competition, we got to the final of that. We beat England in our group, and I think we played Northern Ireland in the final. We won't mention the score.
No.
On the 1st of November 1980, Mark Hughes signed as a professional for Manchester United.
To go from a small place like Roehampton to go to a big club like United, it's obviously just a young lad and you first time away from your home, and it's a big step. But like a lot of people beforehand, they were saying, well, you should go and play for a smaller club, and then you can always go up. But even from smaller clubs you can go down, so I always felt that you have to start at the top and hopefully you can stay there, because you're playing with better players and you better facilities, and all round it's got to be better for your game really.
My fears when he first went to Manchester were that he was just going to go. But I remember taking him, and we met Joe Brown at the lodgings that he was going to be staying at, and all seemed very nice. And when I left Mark behind, I remember saying to Joe Brown, he was the chief scout at United then, that you've got my most treasured possession there, you look after him. I remember saying that. And well, I was very sad coming home, but that was on the Monday, and I think on the Saturday Mark was back home for the weekend, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I think having a stable base and off the field it just keeps you relaxed, and then you can just concentrate on your football, because at an early age that's all you've got to think about really. If you've got other distractions outside the game, well, you're going to suffer. You've got to be happy off the pitch, or you don't perform on it, as they say. So I was very lucky because a lot of the other apprentices have had problems, and I was just very fortunate that I was able to spend my formative years at a place so warm and friendly as Annie and Tommy's. When I first went there, I was a midfield player, and really I was struggling at one stage, and it didn't look like I would be making any progress whatsoever. And I think it was just the last chance for me really, that a man who was the youth team coach, Sid Owen, he decided in his wisdom that the only way I was going to get a game was by pushing me up front, and he pushed me up front. I had a couple of games, scored a few goals, and I stayed there ever since. I made my breakthrough when I was about 19-20, which I think probably is a little bit late for most players. I think they usually make a breakthrough a little bit earlier. But when I was there, I was quite far back in the queue for places, really. There was likes of Noel Whiteside had just broken through. People like Scott McGarvey, Frank Stapleton, and they bought Alan Brazil as well. So I was way down when I first got through. But I think like in most occasions when young players break through, you get in the team through injuries. It was no different for myself. You have to be playing well at the right time when possibly people aren't playing as well in the first team and need to get a few injuries, and then the management thinks, well, he's worth a chance because he's doing reasonably well.
And he was faced at the early age with a lot of failure, you know, which was frustrating for a lad of his ability. At the age of 18, 19, he hadn't quite broken through, which for a player of his ability, because he had that at 18. Mark should have been playing first team for somebody at 18, at 17 or 18. If you like, United kept the world from seeing what they saw at 19, 20. He got there because Ron Atkinson was running out of centre forwards.
I think the management at that time, they felt I didn't work hard enough on my game, really. I think possibly that's got something to do with the style I've got. It looks a bit casual on the pitch, but I can assure it's not. But it was just in training. I wasn't a very good trainer in those days, and they felt possibly my attitude wasn't as good as it could have been. But I worked on that side of it, and it's a lot better now. My first full debut was against Oxford in the Milk Cup, and I was a late replacement for Arthur Graham, and I ended up playing on the left wing. Not my best position, I must admit, but I was just happy to get in the team. And I didn't play particularly well, but I had an opportunity. I think it was in the first half. I think Ray Wilkins knocked a short ball down the line to Mickey Duxbury, who crossed it, and I got in the end of it and scored a goal.
And Hughes came in, and what a start for him. 10 minutes gone, and Mark Hughes, starting a first-team match for the first time, met the cross with a firm header and put Manchester United into the lead. Duxbury with good depth on the ball across. Whiteside in between, took other players away. Hughes came in, and there is that.
Yeah, I scored on my full debut against Leicester at Old Trafford, which was very special for me. I was very nervous before the game, actually. I wasn't feeling too good, actually, before I went out. So once I got on the pitch, I thought, well, perhaps this isn't going to happen for me. But as soon as I got playing, my nerves settled, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think I scored with a header.
Even after this dream start, Mark still had a struggle to establish himself in a star-studded United team.
No, because I think deep down I'm still a shy lad, and I was never able to get that close to any of the players. But once I started getting in the team, the likes of Brian Robson and Ray Wilkins, he was very much wanting me to do well and encouraging me all the time when I was in the team. Well, Frank had a reputation as being a bit of a moaner and groaner. He still got it, actually, but no, I think the mistake I made was that I thought it was just directed at me, but it was just directed at everybody in general, I think. And I've had a laugh and a joke about it with Frank since, but I think as a young player, and especially myself being a little bit insecure, I think I needed a little bit more encouragement, and possibly Frank was not the right type of player for a player like myself just coming into the team.
And the score is 1-0.
In May 1984, after only 4 full first-team games for United, Mark was called up to play for Wales against England at Wrexham.
Yeah, it was a special occasion for me personally, because obviously it was my home, well, my Welsh debut, and be playing against England. It's always a special game for any Welsh player, and to be playing on my hometown ground, for me personally, well, it was just like a fairy tale really. And as the game went on, I got more into it, and I was able to score the goal, which, as it turned out, coming to be the one and only goal, which helped us win the game mostly.
In March 1985, Mark was voted the PFA's Young Player of the Year.
Any PFA award is a great accolade, but I think as a young player, you're always a bit uncertain how other people view you, and certainly the management don't give you any clues how they feel towards you really. They always try and keep you down and keep your feet on the ground. So to have an award like that so early in my career was just a great boost, and I was very, very proud.
The 30th of April 1985, Wales 3, Spain 0, and probably Mark's most famous goal.
Well, the goal came about, if I remember rightly, I think we had a free kick, a good way out actually, and I'm not too sure who knocked it. I think it might have been Peter Nicholas. He knocked a high ball into the far post. There was a bit of argy-bargy, and at the time I thought the referee had blown for a free kick or a penalty or something like that. So it's a bit of an admission, this. I thought he'd blown, so I thought, well, ball just bounced up. I thought I'd just hit it anyway, so because I thought it wouldn't have counted anyway. But as it happens, he hadn't blown the whistle, and it was 2-0 to us.
Then, on May the 18th, United played Everton in an historic cup final.
Well, I think for most players, once they've been involved in a cup final, you do try and remember everything at the time, but it does tend to dim as time goes on. Obviously, because they're so well documented, the incidents with Kevin Moran getting sent off and Norman's goal obviously stick in my mind. At the time, I think we all felt it was very harsh, and because through the passage, nothing's changed to make me change my mind, really. But as for the goal, I think it came during the extra time, and we were all expecting Everton to come on a lot stronger towards the second part of the extra time, but it didn't happen. I think they were a little bit tired from their European Cup exploits during the week, so we just seem to be the stronger team, and you usually find that sometimes that when a team's down to 10 men, it's usually quite difficult for the other team to break them down. Somebody, as for the goal, somebody played the ball up to me. I was up to turn, and I saw Norman out wide, and I knocked it out to him. And then I tried to get back and get in the box to get on the end of the cross. I was a bit upset that when he went for the goal at the time, but looking back, I think he made the right decision. I probably would have missed it.
That's incredible!
Unfortunately, in the next season, 85-86, things started to go wrong.
Yeah, well, I had a few problems that I was drinking a little bit too much, but it wasn't as bad as it was made out, really. The problem I had was that I'd always enjoyed coming back to Raven and Rex and just have a few drinks with all my old friends and whatever, and I just kept that till a Saturday and a Sunday, really. But towards the end, just before I was leaving United, I was going a lot more in Manchester, you see, so obviously drinking during the week as well as having a good drink at the weekend obviously was having an effect on me when I was playing on the Saturday. I was spoken to about it, but possibly not as strong as I needed, really, because a lot of times I thought I was just getting away with it, but obviously it was obvious to everybody else that I was drinking a little bit too much over the weekend or whatever. But I never really was told in no uncertain terms, so I just let it drift on. Come on Saturday, I think most players will tell you that they get an impression how they're feeling when they first get out onto the pitch and they do their first run during the game. And I was finding towards the end of the season that my first 3 or 4 runs, I mean, you've just felt there was nothing there, you see. So obviously the whole of the game from that point on was going to be a struggle, because obviously you feel you're not right physically, so obviously your confidence goes down a little bit, and then you're not doing runs that normally you would be doing, because you're trying to save yourself for the whole of the game, so it affects you that way. You've got to realise that you're in a profession where you've got to look after yourself. If you don't, your performance is affected. So when I went to Barcelona, obviously I didn't have anyone there over with me to go out with, so obviously it stopped overnight with me. Well, I wasn't really happy off the pitch. I wanted my future settled, really. I wasn't really able to get used to the idea of going to Barcelona, and deep down possibly, I know that really I wanted to stay here. I just wanted to have a good contract at United and be able to spend the rest of my career there. But things just drifted on, and I ended up signing for Barcelona. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to tell anybody for 4 or 5 months before I actually went, so that put a lot of extra pressure on me. And being a young lad, I was only about 21, 22 then, and it just got a bit too much, really. Because I was basically a shy lad, I'd never really got that close to the manager or obviously the chairman was hired again, so I never felt I could just come out and say my piece, really. And because I was on a low salary contract at that stage, they obviously felt that I was just going to see my contract out, which if I'd have told them that wasn't my intention, and possibly things might have been different. But I think it was just lack of communication and myself letting things drift, really. The fans were very good to me, actually. Towards the end, obviously, I think they were very disappointed because we'd had such a good start to the season. Everybody felt that was the year that we were going to finally win the league, but it didn't happen, and the run of bad form coincided with the time that I signed for Barcelona, so they weren't too happy. But I think possibly they blamed other people rather than myself, which, looking back, was a little bit unfair, but it was just one of the things. And I think I've always had a good relationship with the United fans, and that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to come back, because I wanted to do well for them. I didn't have a particularly good time on the football field, I must admit, in Barcelona, but I think the problem I had was that over there, I always felt that if I was playing reasonably well, the goals would come along. I'd never really bothered about actually going out and hunting for goals. I always felt that, as I said, if I played well, I would score goals. But it just didn't happen for me out there. I played reasonably well, but I wasn't getting the goals. So obviously I was getting criticised off the field. I had problems with referees as well. Being a foreign player, obviously the spotlight was on me a little bit, so referees were aware of me. And obviously with the style I have got, it did get me in trouble with referees over there. At the end, I mean, because I was having to hold back, because I was getting in trouble with the referee, and that was in turn getting my teammates in trouble, because the referees were more likely to penalise Barcelona because of possibly the fact I was playing and the style I had. I had to curb my aggression and the style of play. So I think as soon as I started doing that, I wasn't half the player that they bought. So that's why I had the problem, I think. Yeah, I enjoyed playing alongside Gary. He's a very laid-back character, and he doesn't let anything bother him if he misses a chance. He's always got the attitude that he's going to get other chances to score, so it never bothers him. I think if I had a little bit of his attitude, not so much of a worrier, I think possibly I would have done a little bit better over there. I think if I learned from Gary that you have to place a lot of importance on actually getting in the box and getting on the end of things. And before I actually played with Gary, I never realised the fact that, well, sometimes you've got to give up the build-up play and just be a little bit selfish and just get in the box and try and get on the end of things. Yeah, I enjoyed the time under Terry Venables. I think he was in a difficult situation with myself because he'd had a lot of problems with the German Bernd Schuster. So he bought me, and I was like a direct replacement. So obviously the press were having a go at me, because if they could have a go at me, eventually, because I was Terry Venables' signing, it reflected on Terry as well, and ultimately reflected on the president, which was what the press were after as well, because they didn't particularly like Mr. Nunes. So it was a difficult situation for myself and for Terry Venables, but he gave me a fair crack at the whip. I had 30 odd games for him, and I didn't do myself justice, and at the end of the day, I've got to hold my hands up. I was a little bit disappointed when he brought back Steve Archibald, because at the time he gave me the impression that he was only going to be for a couple of weeks, but obviously when they did bring him back, they had to cancel my registration, so in effect I was out for the rest of the season, and I didn't play for them again, so I was a little bit disappointed about that, but at the time I was just happy just to be out of the team, really.
Well, we went out the first summer he was there, and he was quite happy, and then we went and spent the New Year with him, and he wasn't too bad then, but we went at Easter time, and he wasn't happy at all, and I thought Mark won't be here long, he'll be home, you know, and that's the way it turned out.
At the time I wanted to come back to Old Trafford, but unfortunately from a financial point of view really it didn't make sense, because I hadn't been out of the country for a full tax year, so I would have been liable to tax on my earnings abroad, so for the sake of 4 or 5 months, really I had to stay out of the country. So the opportunity to go Bayern Munich came up, and obviously they were a very big club, and it was a chance to start playing again, which was important to me. They were still involved in the European Cup as well, which was something I'd never played in, so really there was only one choice, really. Yeah, I was tempted to stay in Germany because I enjoyed the lifestyle there. The football suited me a lot more than Spanish football did. I was appreciated more for what I did for the team, and I wasn't just judged on my goals, which was a nice change, really. And with my wife, Jill, was out there with me then, and she enjoyed it as well. And if it hadn't been the fact that it was United that came in for me, I've said many times I probably would have been playing for Bayern Munich for a couple more seasons than I actually did. Yeah, I was having a good time in Bayern Munich, but Alex Ferguson had always made his feelings known that he wanted to bring me back to Old Trafford, and he came over a couple of times, and his assistant Archie Knox came over, and obviously they made me feel very much wanted, and at the end of the day, because of the enthusiasm they had for my style of play, it made me think seriously about what I wanted to do, and at the end of the day there was no choice to make, really. There was only one place I wanted to go. When I came back I had a lot of criticism for myself, and Brian McClay had a lot of criticism because we didn't score too many goals that year, and obviously the year before I came back Brian had scored 30 odd goals, which is a great tally, really. So obviously fingers were pointed in my direction, really, saying that the reason Brian hasn't scored is because he's playing with me. I think it was a little bit unfair because within about 2-3 months of the season starting, we lost about 3 wingers. We lost Jesper Olsen, he was sold, Gordon Strachan, and Peter Davenport, who did a good job for Brian in the previous year. They'd all been sold within a matter of months, and really we never replaced them until Lee Sharp started to break through.
Side is Hughes, there he is, there's his cross.
I think that sometimes people just hit it off right away. There's a certain magnetism between them, I suppose. They build up a good relationship. I think that probably myself and Sparky have had to probably adjust their games a little bit to suit each other. possibly the team as well, because I think that over the last 3 years the team's evolved from the team I played in the first season.
Sometimes partnerships can take time. They don't just happen overnight. Some do, but in the case of Mark and Brian, I feel there were some games that were excellent together. But I think that was a media thing more than it came from Old Trafford. It was never a talking point in the coach's room. It was never a discussion between me and the players. It was always down to the media's particular involvement in it. And of course they can distort and exaggerate things out of context.
Well, it's been said that I'm difficult to play with, but I'm a little disappointed with that because I feel that I do a lot of work for the team, bring people into the game and knock the ball off and try and work out for the team. And I'm sure a lot of teams would rather have me playing with them than against them. It's just something that the press have got onto, and obviously if they're stuck for something to say, they can trot out the same story, and it keeps on coming back. I mean, just as the thing about the fact that myself and Brian can't play together this year because we score so many goals, that's gone a little bit quiet, but no doubt if we don't score as regularly again next year, no doubt that will be trotted out again. Things I remember of the final were obviously scoring the 2 goals. And in the first final, when I played in '85 against Everton, I didn't really think I played very well, and I didn't really make much of a contribution, really. But obviously, to score in a cup final is, I think, everybody's player's dream, and I was able to score a couple of goals, and obviously the third one was very important for us because it kept us in the match, really. First goal, I think Paul Ince had the ball, and whether or not he was crossing or shooting, I'm not too sure, but it just happened to break for me, and I had to stretch a little bit because the ball went across me, but I made a good contact on it, kept it low, and it went in back to the corner where it came from, and at the time I was very pleased, but Brian McClare ran over and clutched me around the throat, and I was a bit dazed for about 5 minutes later because I think he squeezed a little bit too hard. The second goal, Danny Wallace picked her up and made a good forward run, and then I made a little run for him, diagonal run, and he slipped the ball through, which was a good ball. And the keeper actually came out and made my mind up because usually I just try and blast him from all angles, but he came out and I saw him coming, and I was able just to slip it past him. Very pleased with that one. Well, I think Crystal Palace in the second game, they came out just to try and be a lot more physical, and I think it worked against them, really. I think in the first game, at least they came out and tried to play a little bit of football. But as I said, they came out, tried to be a little bit too physical, and it didn't work for them. As for the goal, I think Neil Webb had the ball deep. I made a run across the penalty area, and I think I dragged a few with me, and then Lee Martin made a good run and good ball in, and I'm not too sure he was knew what he was doing at the time, but he made a good contact and it flew. At that stage, always a bit nerve-wracking the last 10 minutes, but we were reasonably confident we were going to win. The League Cup run was a great run really, because we played so many difficult teams, and we performed so well against them that when we got to the final, we were very disappointed in our performance, because after doing so well in the previous rounds, to get to the final and not to perform was very disappointing for ourselves and for the fans. We played Liverpool at Old Trafford here, and we played them off the park really that night, and we won 3-1. We went down to Arsenal, and we got probably the result of the season down there, 6-2. And then we have 2 very hard games against Leeds, and then we turn out for the final and we just don't perform at all. And I don't think anybody knows the reason behind it. Possibly we had our minds on the European final, I don't know, but we didn't perform and didn't do ourselves justice, which, as I said, because of the teams and the quality of the teams that we'd beaten to get there, it was made it even doubly disappointing. The goal I scored against Liverpool, I'd just been injured actually, and I was struggling a little bit because unknown to me at the time, but I was later to find out I'd torn the muscles just above my ankle. So at the time I just went over to Jim McGregor and he strapped it up and just said, well, see how it goes. So I just went back on the pitch, and as happened, within a couple of minutes I picked up the ball just on the halfway line, and I ran forward, and I think I was okay as long as I kept running in a straight line. If I tried to go left or right, I got a little bit of a pain, so I just ran forward, and then chanced my arm going right, and then I just whacked it. And it's Bruce Grobbelaar at the time got a little bit of criticism because people felt possibly that he was too much off his line, but if they had a camera angle behind the goal, really, they would have seen that it did dip and it did go across him, so he wasn't to blame, really. He couldn't have stopped it if he wanted to, I don't think.
Before the eventual triumph over Barcelona, Mark's reputation as a hard but fair player was brought into question by the sending off in the quarter-final against Montpellier.
Yeah, the Montpellier game, I got a lot of press in that game because obviously the incident when the lad got sent off. It was a little bit unfortunate, but I still think I did the right thing by staying down. Obviously, maybe I stayed down a little bit too long, but at the time I'd just come out of a tackle and I was stepping over one of their players, and I think some of their players felt that I'd stamped on his fingers or something, which wasn't the case, but about 4 or 5 of them started to rush over, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be in trouble here if I lift my hands or do anything, so I thought, well, concentrate on not getting involved here. So as they're coming over, one's come from the left-hand side, the lad, and he's knocked me over, so I'm thinking, well, I'm better off staying down on the floor. A lot of people said that the reason that he got sent off was the fact that I was rolling about on the floor, and I stayed down a little bit too long, but in actual fact the referee was very close to the incident, and he'd probably sent off the lad before I'd even hit the deck, really, so I've got no conscience about the incident at all.
After successfully negotiating 2 potentially difficult ties against Legia Warsaw in the semi-final, United met Barcelona in the Rotterdam Stadium in the final.
The European Cup Winners' Cup in Rotterdam obviously is the highlight of my career so far. It was a great night all round. I mean, our supporters made it a very special night for everybody, and I think the strength and the emotion that they were showing, I think it upset the Barcelona team and their fans, because they couldn't understand the passion that they were showing. On the night when we came out, it wasn't a very nice evening really, and it was a bit cold, and just as we came out there was a downpour, which I think it put Barcelona off a bit. We were more than used to that kind of weather, but I looked at a few of their faces, and you could see they were shaking a bit, and they're thinking, I don't fancy this tonight. So I think that gave everybody a boost, and we just went on there and played them off the park, really. Well, to receive the PFA award from your fellow professionals is obviously a great honour, and to receive it twice, I mean, that which nobody else has ever been given the award twice, was something very special. And I was a very proud man that night to stand up there and receive the accolades from my fellow professionals. It was a very proud night for me. I think the aggressive side of my game came out because I was fed up with getting messed around, really. I'd get knocked about in training, and like if I knocked anybody over, I'd say sorry, but unfortunately nobody was doing that to me. So one day I just this one player that was there, his name was Gary Worrell, and he had a certain style of playing. He was a left winger. I've got nothing against left wingers, honest, but it's just that he had a pattering sort of running style, and I don't know, he just wind me up a bit. So I always felt like kicking him if I could. So unfortunately, he got a lot of the brunt of my aggression at that stage. But because of that, I think the coaches saw a little bit of a spark in me, and from then I started making progress.
Well, I was a defender, and I wouldn't have liked to play against Mark at all, because he never stops, you know, he works it all the time, and also he doesn't lose his temper. He just keeps doing it and keeps working hard at it. It takes a lot of stick, and with strikers like that, you don't know what to expect of them. You want them to react to you, which he doesn't.
Yeah, well, both games I played against with for Middlesbrough, I've taught him since I've come to United. He gave me, I think he sort of introduced me in his usual style when we played at Old Trafford. He called me a few times, and I was thinking, all right, well, hang about, hey, what's going on? You know, he's not like your average big sort of 6'4" centre forward who sort of catches you like. But he was certainly a handful that day, and then he came down to Ayresome Park and he started off in exactly the same mould. I think he clipped me about twice in the first 5 minutes, maybe a bit late or whatever. So I remember it was only like about 10 minutes in the game. One of the lads played the ball out to him, and I came through and I tried to just whack him back, like, but luckily Sparky saw it coming and jumped out of the way. But he knew I'd went to give him a good clipping, you know. And he laughs about it, and I laugh about it now. And I'm just glad he's on my side now. Yeah.
Well, he's aggressive on the pitch. He's not off the pitch.
Nothing.
Very quiet. Yeah, I think he's got that type of physique and presence that when people maybe have a go at kicking him, it takes a lot to hurt him. I mean, he's very rarely injured, so it does take quite a bit to get through.
I'd rather have him in my team than against my team. As I said, he's looked after me a couple of times. He saw that a couple of the fullbacks have tried niggling at me, and he's come flying over at them, sort of thing. So he looks after me in that way.
My style of play has got a lot of criticism because of the aggression that I do show, but I think that's from when I first got in the team. When I first started out, I used to take things a little bit too personally. If somebody kicked me, I'd think, well, that's something against myself, so I'd have to get them back. But as I've got older, I realised, well, it's just all part of the game now. I think I channel my aggression a lot better than I did when I first got in the team, and I think I get a lot more respect from other players now. I think when I first got on the team, they'd think, well, we know we can wind him up and get him involved and get him in trouble with referees. Whereas now, I think they know that they can't do that to me anymore.
I don't know. He doesn't get it from me. He doesn't get his aggression from me at all. I don't know, really. I think you've got to be aggressive to be a professional footballer these days.
Yeah, I get remembered for the spectacular scissor kick, really, because from the Spanish game when I scored at Wrexham, and I've done a couple of times since. It is something I work on, because I think I feel more comfortable in the skill rather than heading the ball. I think I get more direction and more power from actually doing a bicycle kick rather than heading the ball. Some players, their strength is heading, mine's scissors kick, and it is something I practice in training, and think that it's a skill that you do have to hone and make sure that you're confident in it, because obviously it can make you look a bit of a fool if it doesn't come right.
He's got an eye for that. He loves volleying the ball. If he could maybe place it, he would still probably try to volley it and go for the spectacular, which sometimes people, maybe say is a fault of his, but he scores that many spectacular volleys, then I think that probably outweighs the ones he misses,
I think that's what he's noted for. He's an excellent bowler of the ball, and if he sees the chance, he'll have a go at it. Sometimes it goes really straight for them, but more often than not, he gets it on target.
Yeah, I've been criticised for not scoring bread-and-butter goals, and I think it possibly is a fair comment. But I think I have a lot more to my game, and I get involved a lot more in the build-up play, and sometimes that leaves me a bit isolated from the box, and sometimes I can't get on the end of things when possibly people have shots, and I should be in positions where I just knock in the rebounds in off goalkeepers. Usually I've been involved in the build-up play, and I haven't got in those positions. I think it's a special skill in itself, and I think you can work on it to a certain extent, but really it's something that you're born with, and I'm more the type who likes long shots and, as you said, volleys, and it's something that I'm not particularly adept at, but I'm working on it.
However spectacular his achievements on the football pitch, Mark is anything but a superstar away from Old Trafford.
That's the type of lad Mark is. I mean, he's quiet and unassuming sort of lad off the pitch. And, when he goes onto the pitch, he turns into something else, and he channels all his aggression in the right way. And he's a smashing lad, and only somebody like him would do that sort of thing.
Take, for instance, when he first started in the first team, he'd come home on a Saturday night. We were going out to Wrexham, to the nightclubs. It'd be a case of, how'd you get on today? We won 2-0, scored 2. And that was it. Forget about the football then. It was have a drink and all the lads together talk about anything. It wasn't as if he was the big superstar. It was all the lads together sort of thing. Good set.
When he played for Wales under 15s, he was eligible to sign a schoolboy form for Manchester United. Dave Sexton was the manager at the time. Dave invited them into his office, and he said to Mark, well, are you going to sign a schoolboy form for Manchester United? And Mark Hughes said no. So the following evening I went over to Ruaben, and Mark was home. He said, well, did you enjoy yourself last night? Great, Mr. Robertson. I said, well, why didn't you sign, Mark? I wanted to sign for you, Mr. Roberts, he said. Well, I think Mark Hughes is a very special player. Mark Hughes is also a very, very special person.
Success hasn't changed, Mark, at all. He's still exactly the same as he was. He comes in the house, hi Mum, and that's how he's always been, and he's never changed. I hope he doesn't.
Lots of people ask me where it comes from, the nickname Sparky, but I can't really put my finger on it. I think it's because it's so long ago. I think it was possibly something to do with Sparky, because I'm not the sparkiest of players or persons really, but another thing, I think we all had to be names of comics. Or somebody was called Beano, somebody was called Dandy, I was called Sparky, so I don't know, a mixture of both, I think.
One thing I do know that he's a better footballer than he is a golfer, so I stick to the football, Mark.
If you'd just like to sign your name, please. Excellent. Welcome on board.
Thanks very much.